Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Thomas Paine, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Sam Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin, Benjamin Franklin. These men spoke up for what they thought was right. From their courage came such documents as the Declaration of Independence and the Constitution of the United States. From their willingness to speak what was sometimes unpopular but right, we enjoy such liberties as freedom of speech, the right to keep and bear arms, and freedom of religion. There are those who still wish to oppress our freedoms, and there are still patriots willing to stand up and defend life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Men like Zeb Bell, who honor our founding fathers and what they stood for. It's now time for Zeb at the ranch, speaking up and defending your freedoms. Brought to you by Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers and all of the other great advertisers on the program. And now, Zeb Bell.
It is a proven fact that if your parents don't have kids, neither will you. Here comes Kate Smith and God Bless America, followed by a Patriot with our Pledge of Allegiance. Come on, pledgers. Good morning on a Monday. Oh, good morning, good morning. I've got a feeling there are a lot of people mulling over what I said just a moment ago. Hey, Zeb at the Ranch, I'm Zeb Bell with our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations with a great big fall tire sale right now. Stop in and see them today. And don't forget, too, some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And also, Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living at 1221 21st Street in Heyburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's go to the phone line and have our Pledge of Allegiance. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You
get the trophy for the attaboy. Good job. Thank you very much. He's gone. Morning, everybody. Time for the weather, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. Hello, Roger and the crew. They're already there early in the morning to serve you at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. The best. Underline the word best. Tools and equipment that you need to finish any kind of a project. And maybe you're hurrying and scurrying to put in some, ground water lines or lawn sprinklers before the ground freezes. You haven't got that much time, so hurry up and get into K&R Rental at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn, right there on the Burley Paul Highway. They can help you. Right now, here's the weather.
It feels like a touch of fall is in the air as we move through the second week of September. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 71. Winds out of the south-southwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies, at least for most of the evening. We are expecting a low of 46 as we move into the overnight hours. We do have a 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast. For tomorrow, 60% chance of rain showers likely. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit with a high of 66. That's going to continue for tomorrow night with a low of 45. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. Slight chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms with a high of 64. That could continue for Wednesday night. Dipping down below 40 degrees, 39 is the expected low. And then for Thursday, sunny and 69. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And away we go. Good morning, and the weather brought to you by K&R Rental. And Roger and his great staff at the Burley Paul Highway location of K&R Rental. You can't miss them over there at 256 South, 600 West of Heyburn. And they've got all your excavators, air compressors, you name it. Everything and anything to get the job done for both long and short-term rental. K&R Rental, 678 888-322. Wow, good morning. I hope you had a great weekend. We did, and man, we're rested up and raring to saddle the horse and take a run for 3 hours. And we've got a lot of great guests this morning. Richard Manning, Dan Perkins, Marianne Mendoza, Attorney Tim Snowball. We've got a lot of people coming on the program, so stay tuned. Don't forget, to our friends at Daryl's Cleaners at 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. You know, I say this every day, I think, on their commercial, almost every day. But I had a person call the other day and said, "Are you kidding me? Do they really do my washing?" I said, "Yep. You take in your clothes if you don't have time to do your washing, and they will wash, dry, fold, and iron all your clothes, just like Mama used to do." Well, stop in and see the best and work with the best, and that's Daryl's Cleaners, 1223 Albion Avenue in Burley. They are waiting right now to serve you. Good morning, caller. You're on the air.
Good morning, Zeb. I'm at home.
Well, good.
Well, yeah, it is always good to be home. But, you know, I just heard on the news this morning that Nevada is no longer going to have a GOP primary. That is so revolting. The doggone unions have got such a toehold on that state that nobody has a chance. Your thoughts on that?
The state of Nevada politics scares me. The power, and I'll say this, and you can disagree with me if you wish, but the power of that state being a sparsely populated state outside of Reno and Las Vegas, it really scares me, because those two populous areas really prove the fact, honestly, Keith, of why we need to keep the Electoral College, because like those two areas would be indicative of other states like L.A., San Francisco, Seattle, Portland. Those populous areas can control the vote, and that's what's happening in Nevada.
Absolutely, and I know you know the Elko area really well because you've done the rodeos there and everything, and you've probably got to know a lot of them farmers and ranchers. They don't have a chance. They don't have any chance at all.
No, you're 1,000% right. And I got to say this because I do have a lot of very, very, very good friends down there in that area. And I have great friends in Las Vegas and Reno and other places around the state. I can honestly tell you and all my listeners this morning, I don't think I've run across anybody in rural Nevada, which Nevada's pretty rural, that wants anything to do with the liberal sleaze that's coming out of the Democratic Party.
Oh, it is terrible. And, you know, we spend the winter down there, and it, you know, you hear all this about politics and everything, and they've got such a toehold on that state, the unions do,
yeah,
that there's no chance at all.
You know, and Keith, right there is a story that we're going to be talking to Dave Bigo on Wednesday about, the power, the absolute fist-clenching power of the unions, not only in Nevada but elsewhere.
Yeah, and we've been hearing, the news have been telling us the unions are diminishing and everything else like that. No, they are flourishing, especially in states like Nevada. You cannot get a job there basically without belonging to that union, and it's bone crushing.
Well, there again, it's
terrible.
It's the 7-letter word that we're all talking about every day on this program, and that 7-letter word is control. I think you'll agree.
Yes, and being in the middle of the road, you know, not saying, well, I'm not a Democrat, I'm not a Republican, and this and that and the other. I heard it best from Geraldo, who I despise. He said, if you're going to be in the middle of the road, you're going to wind up being roadkill.
Absolutely. I agree. Hey, Keith, it's good to hear from you this morning to start things off. You always break the ice, and I appreciate it. God bless you, man. Thanks.
You bet. Bye-bye.
All right, sir. Calls are welcome and appreciated. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Don't forget our dear friends, Ramsey Heating and Electric. Oh, boy, they kept you cool this summer, and they will keep you warm this fall and winter. Yep, they have all your heating, cooling, and electrical needs. All you need to do is just give them a call or stop in. Number to call, 678-0459, and they're located at 2600 Overland Avenue in Burley. They also get there early in the morning at 7:30 to 5, Monday through Friday to serve you. And they've been in business almost 7 decades. Woo! What a tribute to a great company of service to you, Ramsey Heating and Electric in Burley. Hey, are you hungry? I tell you what, my self-imposed diet has been working, but then on the other hand, when I fall off the wagon, so to speak, I'll go to Denny's restaurant. Absolutely, at 611 North Overland in Burley. The best of breakfasts and lunches and dinners and desserts. Oh, anytime, all the time. You're going to love the food, and you're going to love the people. Really, really nice people, personable people that are serving you at America's Diner. Denny's restaurant, 611 North Overland in Burley, and another location at 291 Pole Line Road in Twin Falls. You better stop in. They're the home of Zeb's Lunch Bunch, Denny's Restaurant. Good food. Okay, folks, give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. A couple of things I want to just throw out this morning. Holly Weird this is interesting, and I'm going to make this point. Caller, stand by. There is a shift and a turn and a vocalization coming out of Hollywood to condemn and damn the left and the liberals. Whoa! This is a good sign. There have been quite a few actors in the last couple of months, male and female, and one that comes to mind most recently, Kirstie Alley, that, of course, you remember her from the episodic comedy on television called Cheers. Kirstie Alley came right out, and she is by far not a conservative, and she said, hey, Hollywood is acting like a bunch of bigots. How true. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
The Burley Senior Center on South Overland. Today we're having chicken fried steak, mashed taters and gravy, green beans, and salad and yummy dessert.
Joe, you got to tell me, what kind of yummy dessert are they going to have?
Keeping it a secret, but it's going to be great.
Oh, so it's a secret.
$5, any and everybody. Come on, come one, come all.
Well, I'll tell you what. Joe Taylor has done an outstanding job of promoting the Senior Center and their great kitchen for dining delights at noon. And he said, come on over and enjoy a good chicken fried steak and a secret, absolutely secret yummy dessert.
Thank you for all you do for us.
You bet, Joe. Take care. God bless you. There is a very, very nice man, and he has got more talent and ability than all of us. I'm just amazed by him. Hey, don't forget Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street near Connection Credit Union. I'm amazed that these people do. They're good, really good at taking care of your animal's health. Dr. Bill and the crew. And don't forget, it's time for the fall vaccinations for all your animals. And I absolutely urge you to call and make an appointment and make sure your puppies are all vaccinated and everything. Ark Animal Hospital at 750 21st Street, as I said, near Connection Credit Union in Hayburn. The best of folks taking care of your animals. Large or small, they take care of them all. Where they have warm hearts for cold noses. 678-1177, Ark Animal Hospital. Really good people. All right, calls are welcome. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I don't know if you heard this or not, but I'm going to comment on this now and then also with Richard Manning at 9:06. But there had been set up a very secretive meeting with the Taliban to possibly create a bonding, if you will, of somewhat of a peace in Afghanistan and the Middle East with President Trump and the so-called leaders of the Taliban. Well, it's fallen through, and I say good riddance. I say good riddance. The Taliban is still killing, is still blowing people and things up, and still maiming and destroying, and they want to come to the table and have some kind of a peace agreement. I don't know what your thoughts are, but I'll give you mine, and I'm very right-wing and proud of it. You bring them to their knees so that they stop these heinous crimes of killing and maiming and bombing, and then, and only then, do you negotiate? How do you, or why should you, negotiate with anyone that says we're going to kill and bomb right up to the point where you, the United States, come up with something that we think is neat and envious and we want to take it as far as any peace treaty? No! Never! You put them on their knees and make them and force them and coerce them to come to the table and be agreeable and amenable to peace talks and peace issues. They just want to kill. They just want to bomb. And it's evil. They are such evil, evil people. They are Muslims that believe that Allah wants them to kill and maim. That is part of their doctrine. I hope that our president and his staff do nothing, say nothing, or offer anything that will appease them, other than bring them down to their knees. Your thoughts, please give me a call. I heard a loony political pundit on the air, I think it was Saturday, as I was in the house having a cup of coffee, say something so stupid like, well, we should do all we can. All we can? All we can to try to bring about a peace agreement with the Taliban? Wait a minute, all we can? Why us? They are the ones maiming, killing, and bombing and destroying. And yet this loony pundit, liberal, said we should do all we can to make them come to the table. Thoughts are welcome. Give me a call. 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The world is turned upside down. And I don't see it changing anytime soon in the future. Dino Septic Service. Boy, I'll tell you what, they really are good at what they do. What do they do? Well, I thought you'd never ask. Septic tank pumping and liquid waste removal and sewer and sink drain lines cleaned and septic and drain fields installed, backhoe services, the list goes on and on. Fast, fair, friendly service with some of the best. Dino Septic Service, absolutely. And the number to call, 436-6526 or 678-1638. With a big truck that says smells cargo on the way. Get a hold of them today. Dino's Septic Service, the best. All right, come on, folks. It's Monday, I know, but I'd love to hear from you, so give me a jingle on the landline, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Why is it that the left and liberals and these limp-wristed so-and-sos on the left always look at us, the United States, that, well, we have to change? Yeah, we have to offer. We have to sit back and capitulate. We have to come up with something. Let them kill, let them maim and bomb, but we have to come up with something that they like. It blows my mind. Honestly, it blows my mind. You don't let some group dictate to you while they are out to destroy in the name of their sick, perverted ways and religion. You bring them to the table on their knees. On their knees. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I forgot the doggone number there for a minute. Congress is back in session today. Oh, boy. I can't wait to hear what comes out of Congress later on this afternoon. You know, with all the issues that are going on in the world today that are affecting you and me, our families, our future, etc., I will bet you anything that the big story coming out this afternoon after their first day back is going to be, I mean this, if I'm wrong, I'll apologize. It's going to be, we've got to impeach President Trump. They spent their summer recess listening to the American public, listening to what's going on with illegal immigration and the wall and the economy and Medicare for all and all of these issues, and how much you want to bet that we're going to hear from the loudmouths on the left side of the aisle, the AOCs, the Rashida Tlaibs, and everything else. Well, we've got to get organized now, starting now, going into the fall session with impeachment for Donald Trump. How much you want to bet? Call me, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. By the by, don't forget, let your house welcome you home with perfect temperatures. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Whoa! Right now it's available. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. So make yourself comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or go to their website, ramseysonline.com. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, good morning, Lonesome.
Okay.
This Afghanistan deal, I can remember back to when we were in World War II, but 10 years after the war was over, I was in the Navy in the Philippines in 1955, and they still were finding machine gun nests of Japanese still in the mountains because they didn't know the war was over. What's it going to be like in Afghanistan?
I will not project a speculative remark to that because I don't know. I honestly don't feel. Keith, this is how I feel. I don't think you can take that kind of a personality that is very adherent to the Muslim faith and the doctrines of Allah, that it's all right to maim and kill, and I don't think you're going to have everybody all of a sudden say, okay, we're changing our ways, we're going to be Joe Good Guy. I don't think it's going to happen.
Well, they have proven years ago, that you can't roust these people out. They got so many mountains and things there that it's just impossible to fight them, really, unless you mass bombed these mountains and destroyed everything.
Well, there again is another case where I wish that we'd have never got involved in that mess in the first place, but that's hindsight, and we're there. It's been the elongation of the longest war ever that we've been in part of, and Russia sat back and looked at our whole card and said, boy, we've been there and done that, now you're involved in it. It's a mess, and I don't think it's a mess you can clean up.
I don't think so. Here's the crux of the whole situation. If we pull out, every terrorist organization in the world will congregate there.
Yep.
And they'll spread out from there.
Yep.
There's just no winning this war.
No, and I honestly feel that the Taliban or whether it's ISIS or whether it's Al-Qaeda, it doesn't make any difference. Basically, the adherence to the same principles are taken by all three of those very obnoxious killing machines. They need to be wiped out to the point where all of a sudden they sit down and go, oh boy, we can't take this anymore. And you bring them to the table, any kind of a negotiating table, on their knees.
And how do you get them on their knees?
Ain't going to happen.
They're spread out.
Yep, it's not going to happen. Keith, appreciate you calling back, buddy. Thank you so much. I got to give away some cookies. Thank you.
You bet.
All right. Time to give away some cookies, and I've got an easy question this morning. I'll ask that in just a moment. We want to remind you that our cookies are provided by Sophie's Chatterbox at 530 East Street in Rupert, right on the square. What a great restaurant. What a great bakery. Oh, they make everything over there, all the homemade breads and the different pies and the cakes and the muffins and, of course, all the cookies. Oh, it's delicious. Delicious. So stop over to Sophie's Chatterbox. And here's the question. If you win the cookies, please call them at 436-0354 and let them know when you, excuse me, choked to death. Let them know when you'll be coming by for your cookies, okay? Here's the question. Like I said, it's one of the easiest ones I've asked in a long time. What was the name of the TV Western series in the 60s starring Steve McQueen? What was the name of the TV Western series in the 60s starring Steve McQueen? First person to call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. I'm chuckling because out my window of my studio there's a cat fight going on, and I don't know who's winning, but there sounds like neither one of them are real happy. Sorry about that. Give me a call quickly at 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. While I am waiting for your call to give me the answer to win the come on! Give me a call and win the cookies. And I'll say a question one more time. What was the name of the TV Western series in the 60s starring Steve McQueen? Caller, you're on the air. Who was it?
Hello.
Hello, go ahead.
Yeah, it's Wanted Dead or Alive.
And who is this?
Hello.
Who is this? Wheels, turn them up.
Leroy.
Leroy who?
Clam.
Well, you're the winner of the cookies, Leroy. Call them over there and let them know when you'll be by, okay?
Thank you so much.
All right, sir. God bless you. Wanted Dead or Alive. It was a TV series starring Steve McQueen before he got really, really big in the movie industry. Oh, and the uniqueness about that Western was that instead of a pistol, a Colt 45 or whatever, he had a sawed-off Winchester 73 in a holster. And boy, at that time, in the 60s, the toy industry really played that up, and I think it was Mattel that had big sales of those sawed-off Winchester 73s with a holster set for the kids to play cowboys and Indians and everything. Yep. Okay, Leroy, you're the winner. Thank you very much. Hey, by the way, congratulations and thank yous to Sophie's Chatterbox. Every Monday, giving away a dozen cookies to their wonderful, wonderful bakery. Calls are welcome, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. Barry Equipment and Rental, hello. They've got 3 locations serving you at 159 West Highway 30 in Burley, 465 Addison Avenue West in Twin, and the Napa location. And I mean, they've got the big dudes. Yep, they've got the equipment that'll get the job done for all the lifting and the digging and the pushing and the carrying. Oh, they've got all the Doosan wheel loaders and the excavators, and they've got all the Bobcats, all the sizes, and they've got excellent leasing programs and excellent financing programs to buy. Oh, you'd better get in there today. Barry Equipment and Rental in Burley, Twin Falls, and Napa. They're waiting right this minute to serve you. All right, your turn. Give me a call, 436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. The Democrats and their Medicare for all is so ridiculously inept and stupid, and the people that believe it will work are absolutely, I think, hanging out there on a tree branch. And even Democrat Rahm Emanuel, that was in the Obama administration with the inception and formulation of Obamacare, came out and said that if the Democrats are crazy enough to push this, it'll be the worst thing they ever got involved in. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Good morning, sir.
My friend.
I never thought I'd ever agree with Manuel, but he's right. And Whoopi Goldberg, she's right. And Christy Alley. You know, the left has gone way far left when it's even got people on the left saying it's crazy to do that. You know they've went too far.
Well, and Doug, did you read or have you heard about a op-ed that was in the Times News, yesterday's paper, and for some reason they feature this low-classed commentator by the name of Jim Hightower from Texas, and he made some absolutely erroneous statements about Medicare for All, and he said, while Medicare for All would cover every American from birth to death, it would actually reduce what we pay for the insufficient, incomplete coverage provided by today's industrial health care. What they don't say when they make these idiotic statements is that Medicare for all, if everybody comes in here, and all means also illegal aliens, Doug, that there would be a rationing program because no program can exist with everybody tapping on the water faucet.
That's very true. Hey, I'll call you back. I just got a customer come up.
Oh, okay, buddy. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. Calls are welcome. What do you think about that Medicare for all? Medicare for all is only going to weaken, break, and totally destroy the Medicare system. And this Jim Hightower has the combined IQ of a bicycle spoke, in my opinion. And he said also in his op-ed, as shown by other countries, what other countries, Hightower? It didn't work, and people are waiting in line to see doctors, and the care and the health care and the surgeries and everything are backlogged. He says, as shown by other countries, a universal single-payer system eliminates insurance middlemen, dramatically cutting administrative waste, reins in price gouging, and focuses care on the less costly approach of improving long-term health care. It's not going to prove anything. It's going to be the destruction and ruination and the total blowing up of the healthcare system. And I was listening to a gentleman this morning, and I absolutely agree with him that if the Democrats push this Medicare for all idiocy, what we're going to see is rationing. And there's going to be the government picking and choosing and selecting and going, yes, you can, or I'm sorry, no, you can't, in healthcare. And I think it's going to be particularly devastating to the seniors in our country. Oh, well, you're 70 years old? Oh, well, you need this surgery? Oh, well, you need a new hip? Oh, well, you need a new knee? Oh, well, you need any kind of surgery or care? No, because we've got a line of other people much younger that can do and contribute more in a payback to our program. I think that where we're headed with Medicare for All and the idiocy of people like Jim Hightower, a populist author, speaker, radio commentator, and absolutely a left-winger, he said at the end of his dissertation, everyone deserves, as a human right, affordable access to quality health care. Now, my audience is pretty doggone smart. Do you agree with that last statement? I don't. He said everyone deserves, as a human right, think about these words, affordable access to quality health care. Do you agree with that statement? Call me, 1-866-436-2244, 1-866-927-4587. It's Monday morning. People are waking up and saying, another work week. Well, give me a call, please. I'd love to hear from you. And while I'm waiting for that call, I want to remind you again, let your house welcome you home with perfect temperatures with the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Check it out today at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. Call them today, Ramsey Heating and Electric at 678-0459, or visit them online at ramseysonline.com. All right, do you agree with that? That everyone, as Hightower said, I'd like to meet this guy. He's really kind of a fruitcake, and here's a caller going to answer that question. Caller, go ahead, please. You're on the air.
Hi, Zeb. I do not agree with Hightower. Health care is not a human right. There are too many that make the wrong choices, so they lose their health. And why should we pay for their wrong choices?
I agree with you. I do not like the words or the verbiage that says it's a human right and that everyone deserves it. You know, I believe in free enterprise. I believe in getting off your big duff and going to work and being responsible for your own ways and means in this world, and I don't like statements like that.
Right on.
Thank you for your call. You're always welcome. Appreciate you.
You bet.
Thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead.
They had a bad line, sir, so they hung up.
Oh, they had a bad line. Gee, we have a lot of those bad lines. Call back. Here he is. Good morning. You're on the air.
Yeah, any excuse is better than no excuse, right?
Right.
Okay. I want to tell you about this healthcare situation, what my spin is on it. Being a veteran, I have so-called a lot of rights. But since Donald Trump got in there, he's kind of looking out for us now. And now we've got a quagmire because I can't even call the VA office because they don't have enough people there to answer the phone. And so now they went to an answering service in Boise who are not veterans. They're just a answering service. And it is hard to get the coverage you need. But it is better than it was, but it's still not. It's just a good example if you give Medicare for all, what a quagmire it would be.
All it is, Keith, and again, you're a very observant gentleman, and you know what's going on in the world today, but all this is just a cap and a cheap suit on terminology called socialized medicine.
No, it's not the way. It's not the American way.
Absolutely.
The American way is that you work hard all your life, and your reward in the end is hopefully Medicare.
You know, your point is so well taken about working hard and being responsible for your bills, taking care of raising your family, meeting your obligations, showing the adult responsibility necessary to lead a good, forthright life. And then all of a sudden somebody skips the border, jumps the river, comes in here in the state of California, says, well, we're going to provide Medicare for all. And that means that even though John Brown worked hard all of his life to pay for his Medicare, etc., we're going to give it free to illegal aliens. This is insanity.
Well, I feel sorry for those people in California that live in the Central Valley. A lot of good people there, not mostly Republican or Democrats like you'd think. They're good, honest, hardworking, thinking people.
That's right.
And they hire people that are across the border. They work hard too, and yeah, them the kind of people that we need, the people who are willing to work we'll help them.
Yep.
But they got to help themselves.
Amen. That's the whole society today. We've taken away personal responsibility. Keith, thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. Okay, now there's a caller waiting on the other line. I'm going to ask your indulgence. Stay there just for a minute. I've got to get a weather forecast on. Do not hang up, please. I'll be right with you. Our weather forecast brought to you by Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids, and they really care about the medical treatment of your hearing health. They understand hearing health, and you can call for a hearing screening. They will make an evaluation of your hearing, and I'm guaranteeing you, I went over there, they can help me, they can help you. Please call them today at 312-0957. They're right behind the Minidoka Hospital, across from the emergency room, and that's, of course, Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. I'll be right back after the weather with Gina.
It feels like a touch of fall is in the air as we move through the second week of September. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 71. Winds out of the south-southwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies, at least for most of the evening. We are expecting a low of 46 as we move into the overnight hours. We do have a 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast. For tomorrow, 60% chance of rain showers likely. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit with a high of 66. That's going to continue for tomorrow night with a low of 45. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. Slight chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms with a high of 64. That could continue for Wednesday night, dipping down below 40 degrees. 39 is the expected low. And then for Thursday, sunny and 69. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zebeth Rand.
Thank you, Gina. And if you've noticed that you're missing important parts of a conversation or missing what's happening around you, you're not hearing, please call Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids today. The number 312-0957. 312-0957. Mount Harrison Audiology and Hearing Aids. Caller, good morning. You're on the air.
Well, Zeb, good morning. I want to say the same thing that Keith was saying in a little different way. If you give everybody everything, they have no incentive to work, no incentive to do anything, no incentive to try their best, and you take away their human dignity. It doesn't mean that we can't assist people who need help, but it's that whole situation of everybody wins and everybody is given something. There's no incentive to do anything.
Linda, let me ask you real quick. I've got another call waiting, and I want to ask you this question, and I want you to give me your answer. Along with this stupidity of Medicare for all, there are Democrats that are really also pushing for what's called a universal income, of providing maybe a minimum of $1,000 a month, free gratis to families all across the United States. This is lunacy. What we're doing is creating a hands-out, very dependent society.
Exactly. And the whole thing doesn't work, and everybody's poor and in a horrible mess, and you've got communism and the whole thing, socialism and the whole thing. It just does not work.
Well, I'm really afraid, honestly, I am very afraid of their concepts. When you start going down the litany of their list of what they want to impose on the American people, I mean, no planes, no cars, no, you can't eat certain foods, we're going to get rid of the animal agriculture industry, and of course, we're going to give free this, that, and the other thing. Good heavens, that tells me somebody's just going to take the United States, its concepts, and our values, and flush them down the toilet.
Well, they just have no common sense. Excuse me. And it's a terrible thing to take away, human dignity and the desire to do anything. I don't know why we've gone this way.
Amen.
And they not see, as you said, that it does not work in other countries.
Amen.
And they not see what happened to other people.
World's greatest national anthem singer right there, Linda Croft. God bless you and have a wonderful day. Thank you.
You too.
All right, thank you. Caller number 2, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Good morning, Zeb. How are you this morning?
As usual, a little upset. What's going on in your world?
Oh, I would agree that I'm somewhat upset by this, and hopefully I can phrase my words properly here. I think as residents of the state of Idaho, we need to take ourselves back 9 months to when we just had a ballot and referendum on our ballot to expand Medicaid. And we see these pushes coming from different directions at the national level. And I think if we are to stave off and to save some of our way of life and the ability for people to work and, get ahead, that we got to ask ourselves, what decision did we just make 9 months ago? We expanded Medicaid within our own state, and the legislature in their last session pushed to put certain restrictions on those, but if you've paid attention to the news, most of those recently were denied. The state's currently having several meetings and hearings on what to do with this issue, and if we want to be able to keep, again, our way of life and the system that we enjoy, I think as residents of Idaho and our counties, we have to participate in some of those meetings. And so, we can get mad about all of this, but what are we doing within our own state to fight against it?
I know you, and I know what you do for a living, and you line up the numbers and see at the bottom of the column if they're going to work. Right now, I'd like to see where the money's going to come from, how the money's going to be ascertained, not only for now, but also in the future, and right now, that's the bottom line. I'm not going to flourish it up with a bunch of flowery verbiage. I'm just going to say, how's the money going to get there, and how's the money going to remain there?
Well, if we look at the current situation with the expansion in Idaho, right now, the majority of that money is coming from federal funding. But that promise doesn't remain there forever, which was my main concern with that expansion.
That's right.
And you're right, we do need to get down to that, and I don't know if we're going to get a very good explanation on it, Zeb, and I don't think we're going to get a guarantee on it, which is what worries me. And it's kind of like giving a drunk a drink. We are feeding our system with this drink, and people are going to get hooked on that. We are slowly being converted, which is why I oppose so heavily that measure in the last ballot. But it is worrisome, and so I guess looking forward, we've taken it this far, but we kind of have to draw a line in the sand and say, okay, we don't want it any further. And what are we going to do to put some checks and balances on this?
Amen.
That falls on to our state representatives and those who are working with them, to let them know that, hey, we're watching this.
Absolutely.
And, we care.
That was very well stated, and I do so much appreciate your call and your opinions. Thank you, sir. I've got another call waiting, so I'm going to take that quickly. Thank you very much. Thank you. Caller, I'm going to ask you to please help me a little bit. I've got a minute and a half left. I got to do another commercial. Go ahead, please. Quickly, you're on the air.
Okay, Zeb, I'll make this short and sweet. We have this Medicare for everybody, and they get that $1,000 a month, free money for everybody. What's going to happen is that they also talked about raising the taxes on the wealthy, like everybody that makes over, a certain amount, to 90%, and then that'll cause our economy to collapse, inflation will run away, and this country will go down the toilet.
I cannot argue with anything you said. As a matter of fact, in Hightower's article that he wrote for the paper just shows the idiocy of his remarks, and he said any additional funding needed for full universal coverage could come from progressive taxes. You said it all very succinctly. Thank you very much, sir. Appreciate it.
You have a good day, Zeb.
All right, my friend. Thank you. Hey, by the way, I got to take just a moment and tell you about our major sponsor and their great big fall tire sale at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Oh, boy. boy, you can save a whole bunch of money right now. Save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck and SUV tires like the Terramax HT or the Backcountry Touring HT or the Backcountry MT. Wow. Doing the right thing since 1952. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Wow. I mean, whether it's the tires, whether it's the brake service, front end alignment, shocks and struts and batteries, whatever, they provide a great service to your safe driving. Please stop in and see them today. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike and Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best, absolutely, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Get ready for hunting season. Get ready to drive safely with the best of tires from your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. We're going to take a little break and come back in about 7 minutes with a dear friend that really tells it like it is, Richard Manning, and then at 9:30, Dan Perkins. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Oh, good morning, and welcome back. Zeb at the Ranch on a Monday, already September 9th. Holy moly, somebody slow down the calendar, would you please? And, of course, we're brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers, all 7 locations serving you. Stop in and see them today. Along with some of our great advertisers, including Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. Also, Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living, a beautiful place at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, let's have this good word for Western Waste Services.
From the canyons of the Snake River and all across southern Idaho, we're always at your disposal. Western Waste Services, we care about our community, our resources, and this great land. Western Waste Services is lending a hand, always at your disposal. Western Waste Services.
Oh, you're new to the area, and you say, what are we going to do with all of our garbage? It's easy. Don't get nervous. Just call this number, 734-6969. Talk to them. Tell them where you live. Tell them you want to get on the route service where once a week they'll come by and get your garbage. Problem solved. 734-6969. Always at your disposal. Western Waste Services. You get a hold of them today. Don't forget to our friends at Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, where you can let your house welcome you home with a perfect temperature. The iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox features remote control access, so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere. Get a hold of Ramsey Heating and Electric today, along with Lennox, offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a new system. So be comfy. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459. And real quick also, a big thank you to the wonderful people. They are always serving the community, and I'm talking about Joel Heward, his family, and his staff over at Hanson Mortuary at 710 6th Street in Rupert. When there is the passing of a loved one, they always provide the families they serve with the best possible support and comfort, and above all, upholding the highest ethical standards with unquestioned integrity. Please write this number down, 436-5636. Again, 436-5636. Hanson Mortuary in Rupert with Joel Heward. And Joel also serving you and your family at Morrison Payne Funeral Home on East Main in Burley. It is Monday. And last Monday being Labor Day, and we celebrated Labor Day by not working. We have now the president of Americans for Limited Government, Rick Manning. Good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
I am great. I hope you had a good week last week.
I had a good week. It was my birthday week, so I spent all week being depressed because I'm officially 1 year older now, and in politics that means you may be 1 year less relevant. But but no, I'm over it. I'm ready to go, and I think this week's going to be a great week.
Let me start things off by trying to rain on your Happy Day parade by saying today Congress is back in session, and I'm scared to death.
About a recession?
No. I said Congress is back in session, and with them coming back, it scares me to death.
Well, yeah, we just have to. It was joyful for about 6 weeks when they were gone, and we have to survive while they're here. And they will attempt to do. They will likely do a couple things, or try to do a couple things. They're going to try to pass gun control at some level. That will be the big push in the media. They will pass suspending the appropriations bills, which they already agreed on the spending levels, which are disastrously high. And now they're just going to decide how they're going to throw the money around as opposed to if they're going to throw it around. And then they're going to likely begin discussion on the USMCA trade bill. I anticipate that it will be sent up from the president in the next couple of days, and we'll begin having a discussion in earnest about getting that passed. So those are the three things they're most likely to be doing, and quite honestly, 2 out of the 3 are bad.
Let me throw one other fly in the milk, Rick. I honestly believe that at the end of the day today, at the 5 o'clock news, we're going to be hearing and seeing AOC and Rashida Tlaib and Ilhan Omar and many others yelling and spouting off about we've got now to impeach President Trump.
I love that those 4 are the ones who are leading the charge, because they represent all spectrums of crazy on the left, and as long as they're leading the charge will go nowhere.
Let me throw this at you, Rick, and give me a minute to set this up. I said earlier this morning that when an enemy of the United States is still bombing, killing, and perpetrating mayhem, you go after that enemy and you bring them down to their knees without any negotiation for peace or settlement until they capitulate and stop their wayward means. The Taliban did not do this, does not want to do this, and yet we're being blamed by many people for not coming up with a program of peace. I am teed off by this. You don't negotiate peace with killers that are still killing.
Well, I think I agree with that. First of all, one of the challenges is how do you get out of Afghanistan? How do you which is basically a treadmill where you're basically stuck in tar. And you can't get, and it's hard to get out. The president's trying to do that, but the minute they launched an attack just in front of a meeting that he had planned on having, he canceled the meeting, and rightfully so. Here's the thing: we have to make a decision about what we're going to do in Afghanistan. If we're going to continue to lose human life and human treasure there, we have to decide to utterly and completely destroy the Taliban in every single way. And that means just use our air power and blow up everything that they hold dear. At which point they sue for peace, we leave, and let the people of Afghanistan figure out what they want to do moving forward. That may be the course of action that's dictated based upon Taliban's decision to come into a meeting with blood on their hands, is to force them to go home and explain why those bombs are still falling on their people. I think that's really, as much as I hate to say it, it sounds like escalation, but I don't think it's escalation. It's basically meeting the reality on the ground with overwhelming force and creating and then saying, and now we're done. walking out the door. We don't have to negotiate with the Taliban. We basically go in, we kill as many as we can, and we leave, and we say, okay, existing government, we've cleared the field. It's up to you to hold on to it.
Rick, with the warring factions and the warring tribes over in that area of the world for thousands of years since Jesus walked the earth, I don't see a settlement. I don't see an end. I don't see anything that's going to stop the problem from becoming larger, even if there is a so-called peace agreement. Am I wrong?
I don't think we need a peace agreement. I think we need to get out, and the best way to get out is to clear the fields of the bad guys, napalm their poppy fields, so destroying the heroin, and leave, and say, okay, now it's your problem. We try to create a sustainable future. The sustainable future wasn't something that was attainable from our perspective. So we're not going to spend any more blood and treasure on it, but we need to leave there with at least the poppy fields destroyed and as much as possible, and we have to leave there with as many of the Taliban leaders who are determined to try to create terrorism against America in the future. We need to make certain that as many of them are off the face of the earth as possible, and then we basically say, now it's your problem. We walk away, basically dust off our hands and risk no more lives on the Afghanistan project.
Let me ask you this. You said earlier, when Congress, now back in session as of this morning, gun control. Rick, I'm a gun owner, and I don't know if you are or not. It's none of my business. But I absolutely am a
National Rifle Association lobbyist for 9 years.
And I am a member of the NRA. I will say this.
Drive whatever you want to drive from that.
I am very concerned about what they're going to push or try to get obtained on the Democratic Party for more gun control and more legislative means to take away more of our rights. You know more about this than I do. You're closer to it. What do you think is going to happen?
I think there's going to be a push on the Manchin Toomey background check bill, which would create essentially a registration system for private transfer of firearms, and that has to be beaten. It's the private transfer of firearms, and just very simply, I believe the left when they say they want to confiscate guns. I also know they can't confiscate guns if they don't know where they're at. And as a result, the individual transfer, the private transfer of firearms is the only way that isn't traceable in terms of knowing who has guns and who has what guns. They currently are supposed to, on the regular background check system through gun shops, they're supposed to destroy the records after a certain period of time. But we know that on the Internet, nothing really totally goes away. And I don't trust them to destroy those records. So when you get down to it, the private transfer is the only place where you have a capacity to have a truly private transfer, and and so we have to keep that intact, and that's the battle on the background check bill. On the semi-auto ban, which they'll push, they're going to go try to get try to ban AR-15s, ban AKs. And, we all know it's silly because a semi-automatic is a semi-automatic is a semi-automatic, but they will try to do that, and it's and it'll be a fight. And we'll see, and, it will be a time, I believe, when, for all of our complaining about the filibuster in the Senate, it'll be a time when we're glad there is one. Because I don't believe the Republicans will hold up in terms of, there will be Republicans who vote for it, and it will be, and a majority of the Senate will be in favor of it, but the filibuster will, in fact, I think, hold up and stop it from occurring, along with the threat of a presidential veto. So you'll have that fight going on, and in the background, and then you'll have the red flag law fight, and they are likely to try to put a red flag law not just in a straight fight. They're likely to try to put that as an amendment onto one of the appropriations bills, even though they're not supposed to put any amendments like that on an appropriations bill. But criminal justice, the Justice Department of appropriation bill is ripe for having something like that stuck on. And the question will be, will the president veto something like that that's put onto an appropriations bill? And that would be and whether or not and if the president's not willing to veto it, then Mitch McConnell in the Senate may allow for it to occur. They might also put in additional monies to states that have red flag laws to be able to enforce them, which basically means the federal government will be paying for state and local governments to confiscate firearms. That needs to be stopped as well. So those are the things that they're likely to consider in my estimation. They're all bad. And, they want to sit there and they want to talk, the left wants to talk about solutions and all this, but the fact is, the challenge we have is we've destroyed the family. We've destroyed the elements where you have stability, and we don't have any way of dealing with people who are young men, primarily young men, who don't have a father figure, A, and B, are on psychotropic drugs and are unstable, and we don't have a way to track people who are unstable. And as a result, guess what? It's a problem. Here's one thing they could do. They could say to the states, just tell the states, you have a current mental health check legislation or laws. Every state can hold somebody for 3 days for observation. And if you want to hold somebody for 3 days for observation, if there's a legitimate complaint against them about their stability, they need to be held for observation. And, more importantly, if they actually need help, they need to be gotten help. I mean, every single solution that the Democrats are proposing, and some Republicans are proposing, are Band-Aids. If we have a group of mentally ill people in this country, which we clearly do, the fact that we have the laws on the books in the state level, every single state has a law to say if there's a credible case about somebody being mentally unstable, they're brought before a judge, they can be held for observation for 3 days, and a determination is made about their stability. If you do that, and somebody is found to not be stable or to be stable, then the person who made the accusation, should have some recompense in terms of making a false accusation. But if somebody's truly unstable and truly needs help, and they're in the system, and we fail to provide that help, then that's a problem. The current laws don't actually allow us to do that. So we have to deal with that aspect of it as well. That's part of actually dealing with the problem and not trying to create Band-Aids around the problem and ignoring it.
Absolutely. Rick, in the time remaining, I'd like to talk about one other issue that, to me, it just makes the back of my neck, the hair stand up, and I get bristly mad, and that's the concept of Medicare for All that the Democrats are pushing, and even former Obama administrator Rahm Emanuel has come out and said the Democrats are crazy to try to push Medicare for All. What are your thoughts?
Well, I think that they are crazy to push it, but the same Democrats are pushing Medicare for All are also pushing get rid of fracking. They're also pushing get rid of coal. They're pushing you don't get to eat as much. The government's going to decide how much meat you get to eat. So they are crazy. That's the bottom line. They are crazy, and so I am. Rahm Emanuel's worried about them pushing it. He's not worried about the policy. He's worried about them pushing it because it's a political dead end. I want them to push it because it's a political dead end. The more the left looks like who they are, which is out of touch and out of control, the less likely they are to take control because they mean what they're saying. So let's have the fight about Medicare for All. Let's talk about it. And let's just show exactly who they are on all these issues. And when we talk about, they want to control population using abortion, Bernie Sanders said that the other day. Let's talk about what that means. That's genocide. Let's just show them for who they are, and America will reject them. Let's not let them hide behind nice platitudes. Let's show them for who they are. And I'm glad that they're willing to expose themselves.
And according to what you just said, we're seeing some of this have a ripple effect through some of the liberals in Hollywood that are coming forth and some of the conservatives in the acting and actress attitude. And they're saying, like Kirstie Alley did, that we've got to stop this idiocy that's going on in Hollywood. And she called the rest of the ilk bigots. So maybe we're seeing an opening of the wound in Hollywood. What would you say?
I would say I think that's exactly right, and it's, the irony is I would never have believed this, but it was opened. The door was opened by Kim Kardashian and Kanye West to actually having a legitimate conversation about what policy in America and the institutional control that the left has had in Hollywood, all the while saying it's bad to blacklist people because of the 50s, but meanwhile blacklisting conservatives out of Hollywood. So it's I think it's great that there's that Hollywood's finally beginning to have this conversation. The one thing that people can do in the real world is go support movies that support your values, and don't support movies that don't, because Hollywood worships one thing, and that's dollars. And so if they have to chase dollars and support values, they will chase your dollars. If they don't believe those dollars exist, they won't chase them, and you won't get movies you want. But most importantly, the people who produce those movies will be shut out of jobs.
One final thought. The NFL opened up this weekend with all their season games, and tonight, of course, Monday Night Football. And as much as it irks me to say this, it looks like a team from back in your area is going to be another powerhouse again this year, the New England Patriots. And boy, does it make me cringe to say those words.
I believe Antonio Brown, AB, that he is going to be a disaster for them.
I hope.
I think that sometimes you stretch too far. I actually follow football pretty closely, and I will tell you, a guy who is that completely self-absorbed, who manipulates a system to try to get out, signs a contract in Oakland with no intention of keeping it, then spends the whole summer trying to get out of the contract, gets released, celebrates and signs within 14 minutes with New England. That guy's not going to change his spots. He's not going to fit in with the Patriots, and the Patriots are trying to have one last gasp, for Brady for a couple of years. And this guy's going to blow it up because it's going to be about him. First time he doesn't get enough targets, he's going to be in Brady's face, and guess what? He's going to be blown off the team. So I'm not a big. I don't think we're going to see the Patriots benefiting from that particular transaction.
And you didn't state who your favorite team is. If you would, you have the floor.
I grew up an LA Ram fan. When they moved to St. Louis, I ceased to be an LA Ram fan because they were not the LA Rams. They're back in LA, so my allegiance is back to the LA Rams, even though I follow the Washington Redskins most closely based on proximity.
Okay, my friend, thank you so much. Rick, I look forward to Mondays and having you on the program for some straight shooting. I appreciate it. And, of course, he's the president of Americans for Limited Government, Richard Manning. Thank you very much.
Thank you, buddy. Talk to you next week.
All right, sir. Thank you. Really enjoy his insight because nobody is going to flower it up. He does not. He tells it like it is, and I appreciate it. Don't forget our friends at Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation. You know what I did? I really goofed. I forgot to make an appointment for this week, and I'm going to be on the phone right after this program's over and get back in the grind, if you will, of every week going in there to have them help me with my problem, and they can help you with yours. All the aching and the pain and then the recouping from maybe a surgery or an accident, please get a hold of Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley. Now, here's the number to call. Write it down, 678-1191. Nick Greenwell and all the excellent physical therapists there to serve you, and they do. Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation, 678-1191. Want to also remind you about our dear friends over at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. Hello, Jeff. I bet you he's proud of his son. I think I remember that I heard that his son caught about a 58-yard pass the other night for a touchdown. Way to go. Anyway, I want to tell you right now that Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More at 459 Overland in Burley, there to serve you with all the comfortization and beautification of your home. The weather's changing, and you're going to be spending more time inside, so please check out all the furniture. Please check out all the great mattress buys. Please check out all the floor coverings, great carpet buys, luxury vinyl planks, all of this and more at Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More. And they've got a staff that absolutely is so service-oriented, and they've got a lot of ideas on how this is going to look, how that's going to look in your home and everything. Oh, they understand home decor. At Lee's Furniture, Floors, and More, 459 Overland in Burley. You stop in and see them today. We're going to have our next guest on in just a moment, and boy, can I can hardly wait to talk to him. He's very, very knowledgeable about what's going on around the globe, and that's Dan Perkins, is going to be with us momentarily. I want to remind you, too, about Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World. Oh, my goodness sakes, they're open Monday through Friday, 9 to 6, Saturdays 9 to 4. And let me tell you that the 2020 models are coming in right now. So what does that mean? You can save a bunch of money on the 2019s. I mean, all the side-by-sides, the watercrafts, and, of course, all the four-wheelers. What are you waiting for? I mean, jump in the pickup, grab the wife's hand, and say, we're going to Let's Ride. Absolutely, and they've got all the accessories and a super service department to keep you running. Let's Ride, 270 Highway 24 between Rupert and the World, where the fun is sold. Really, really good people. You know, this next topic that we're going to be talking about is a little bit more than scary, and I can't think of anybody that's more knowledgeable about what's going on around the world. He's a nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy. We're off the air. Thank you. Wheels, come back to me. Talk to me quickly. What's going on?
I had just heard the warning over at the Cat Studio, but we're still on. I can still hear you and everything, but I feel like we're all right.
Okay, we're back on. I wish they would give us a little advance notice of those warnings, and then that way we could prepare for it, but I guess that would be too much work. Once again, I want to say that we have now one of my favorite guests that really knows what's going on. He's a nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, and look forward to having him on the air anytime he gets a chance. Dan Perkins, good morning, sir. How are you?
Good morning, Jeff. Thank you for joining me. I thought you were going to say I can't think of anybody more scarier than Dan Perkins to talk to me. But you didn't say that. But anyway, I'm happy to be with you, sir.
Now, Dan, before we get into some of the world events that are going on, I want to ask you now, being a Florida resident, how safe and secure were you during the scare from Hurricane Dorian?
Well, I was actually with my wife at the Greenbrier at White Sulphur Springs, West Virginia, only by happenstance. So while it was trying to figure out where it was going to go, we were up in the mountains of West Virginia. But it didn't even get anywhere near us. It didn't get any wind. So it's basically battered the East Coast a little bit, but didn't make it all the way across. So no problems at all.
All right, thank goodness. Dan, one of the stories I wanted you to talk on to the nth degree this morning is the United Nations and this absolutely brainless young twit, and that's Ilhan Omar, that wants the United Nations to get involved with our border situation. When I heard this, I was so livid I took a pair of boots and just threw them up against the wall. Are we even close to accepting this kind of lunacy?
No, we're not, and I've got a commentary coming out about that, which I'll send you when it comes out. It's amazing to me what the mainstream media is not reporting about this. The mainstream media is not reporting that the refugee group of the UN, has one of the highest complaint records around the world of rape of women and girls. Around the world. And these are the people that Omar wants to put in charge of dealing with our border crisis. She's not talking about this, depending upon who you read, 60 to 80% of the women and children who live in South America who are thinking about coming to the United States either get an injection to keep them from getting pregnant or they're giving them the morning after pill because it's between 60 and 80% of the women and girls who are in the caravans are raped before they get to the U.S. border. Not talking about that. And then yesterday we had the spokesperson for this same UN group saying that everybody has a right to come to the United States and that there are no borders. And I find it scary, reprehensible, ignorant, stupidity, whatever the right words are, I'm not sure I know. But that she would demonstrate her ignorance as an elected official of not understanding that we as a nation have the right to determine our border and who comes in and who doesn't come in. She is either totally ignorant of or more likely doesn't agree with it, so she doesn't care what the Constitution says or what our laws say. But the idea that there are people in this country, American citizens in this country, who would subscribe to that idea that we would turn over first southern border control. But what happens if you do that and the UN says, well, you got a problem on your other three borders, we should take care of border security for the entire United States? That is so outlandish, so unrealistic. When I first started, I did 13 interviews on this last week alone. I would say to people, we shouldn't even be talking about this because there is no credibility to this issue. But we have to talk about it because the mainstream media is giving her all the coverage. But it's just another example of how we have these young women, and I'm not afraid to call them women because they are women, who are ignorant of what the history and the culture of this nation is, our laws, the Constitution, and the way we have done business for over 250 years. They don't care. So they don't care whether they're right or wrong. They believe whatever they say is correct. Therefore, we have to do it. And it's appalling to me that that the mainstream media would give so much credibility to the obvious ignorance of these people and how the American people are absolutely opposed to whatever they're saying.
Dan, I maintain on this program, and I have for years, that a stupid statement by any representative or any senator, like Ilhan Omar, representative saying that she believes the UN's ability to handle the crisis is better than ours, I think automatically you're going to be looking at 500,000 people. Automatically, 500,000 people that hear those remarks are going to jump on the bandwagon and say, she's right. And then all of a sudden the cancer starts to grow and gets to millions of people. This is what scares me about the left today. They have an open, receptive audience of idiots that will follow them anywhere.
Well, Adolf Hitler said, if you tell a lie loud enough and often enough, people will begin to believe that it's true. And look at what they've done about global warming and how much they've pounded.
That's right.
And yet nobody, including the four ladies, nobody is questioning whether or not, why is it that the Paris Accord gave an exception to the biggest polluters in the world, China and India, till 1935 before they have to do anything. We can't change the world's environment if China and India are polluting it at tremendous volume. But they don't care. They don't want to mention that because it doesn't fit their narrative. And that's what we're seeing here, Zeb, is narrative-driven politics and policy. And That's absolutely wrong. And this whole liberal, in my opinion, this whole liberal movement, not only with the four ladies, but everybody else who's talking about all this, the 7-hour marathon on global warming last week, where the Democrats embarrassed the hell out of themselves, that has to be defeated. And so I'm saying that what we need to do is we need to go back to the polls in November of 2020 and do two things. Take control of the House away from the Democrats and reelect Donald Trump. But we need to reelect Donald Trump in such a huge majority that the left will always have something to complain about, but they're going to have to keep quiet. And that has to be, in my opinion, 48-2.
Absolutely. Dan, in your opinion, and I don't mean to beat this horse to death in regards to the United Nations, but after Ilhan Omar made these comments, how much do you think was accepted by the liberal left and some of these loons to try to perpetrate this idea to go even further?
Well, I think there is a good section of the left who has been against ICE, border control, border protection, wants to get rid of all those. In addition to the four ladies, there are Democratic presidential candidates who want to get rid of it. So I don't think it was hard for other people in the Democratic Party to accept what she's saying. Now, nobody else has come out that I can find since she opened her mouth supporting what she's saying, but look for that to happen too.
I've got to ask you about the supposed secretive meeting that was going to take place with President Trump and his staff and the Taliban, but the Taliban continues to kill, maim, and bomb, and that's their way, I guess, to try to drill up a peace accord. I say that Trump did the right thing by backing out of the meeting, and I also say that he needs to bring them to their knees. There will be no peace talks with anyone or anything until they stop their killing of society.
Well, I'll agree with most of what you said. Where what I would be willing to debate with you is it worth trying to force them to abandon a political philosophy that they've had for 1,200 years? I don't think so. I don't think it's possible. I think it's possible to say, you know, whether we're there or not, there's going to be chaos in the Middle East. They're going to kill each other, and maybe we should just let them go ahead and kill each other instead of killing our men and women. I just think that Donald Trump is trying to do the best he can in a situation that, because of their quote religious beliefs, you can never trust what they say, and that's what you have to. If you walk into a meeting, if the president walks into a meeting with anybody from the Taliban, if his advisors are not advising him about taqiyya and the ability of the Muslims to lie directly to the president's face, and I know he's gotten a copy of my commentaries because I have a contact at the White House. He knows that. So he's going to trust them with a grain of salt because he cannot believe that they will honor their commitments when they're when Muslims are dealing with infidels. And so the idea that we should expect them to lay down their weapons really is an unrealistic expectation. They have been fighting among themselves for centuries, and it isn't going to stop because we say so. And so it's a difficult situation for the president because he wants to bring the troops home, and I agree with that. But he knows when he pulls them out, and the small number of troops that we have there now is not interdiction of what's going on. It's trying to act as a police force. These people hate each other. The two sects of the Muslim religion, the Sunnis and the Shia, hate each other. And so I just don't see how we can affect a change that will cause them to lay down their weapons when they are so committed to killing each other.
Absolutely well stated. Thank you. One final thought before I have to let you go this morning. I've still got about 3 or 4 minutes. I'd like you to elaborate on this. It is scary that Congress is back in session this morning, and there are so many issues they need to address. But I honestly think with the people that we mentioned just a little bit ago, Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib and others, and AOC, they're basically in the 5 o'clock news tonight going to be talking about impeachment. I don't think things are going to change. What are your thoughts?
I think that what the way they're positioning themselves over the weekend, quote, they expect to take a vote on an impeachment investigation. Very important, in their mind, very different position than saying we're going to issue a bill of impeachment. I think that there are some in the Democratic Party who have grave concerns that they don't even have enough support in their own party for impeachment. So they're and now the piece I read this morning is that they want to do the vote in January, so that what Pelosi's trying to do is to buy as much time as possible to postpone the vote, because she is very concerned that if you do a bill of impeachment and it doesn't pass the House, they're done. And they're not going to have any, because if they can't get any 218 of their own members to vote for, and the last vote that I saw that had anything to do with impeachment, they only had 95. So she's concerned that they don't have enough, and if the left, the far left, is pushing them to try and introduce this bill of impeachment, and there isn't the votes in the House to carry it, she doesn't want to have that situation because it would be devastating to the Democratic Party, which I think it should happen. So she's trying to stop it from going on because I think she understands there are two huge risks here. One, she may not have the votes. Two, Nadler has now said he would postpone the vote until January. And between now and January, there's going to be at least 2 of the 3 remaining reports to come out from the prosecutor in Utah, the one in Connecticut, and then ultimately the Attorney General. If those things come out and we're talking about serious violations of the law, you're creating a situation where you do not want to have to take a vote for a bill of impeachment because your credibility is absolutely gone based on what's going to happen with those reports. And as a result, you don't want a vote of impeachment because you're going to say we're going to ignore the facts and create a situation where we're willing to sacrifice ourselves. Now, I believe, Zeb, it's certainly possible that there are some members of the Democratic Party who don't care whether they get their ass handed to them or not. They got to do this.
You know, it's really interesting the way you broke that down. I agree with you, and I've got to ask you one final thought here this morning, politically. Sure. We're seeing, and it surprises me, to be honest with you, I thought that she'd be going the other way, but Elizabeth Warren seems to be picking up percentage points of favoritism on the Democratic side, over and above Bernie Sanders and the others. Joe Biden, notwithstanding, still kind of holding his own when I think he should say goodbye and go home to the rocking chair. What are your thoughts about what's going on in the Democratic Party for the possible nomination?
Total chaos. Joe Biden over the weekend said, and I'm going to quote, "Hell yes, I would appoint Barack Obama to the Supreme Court." End of quote. Absolutely pandering to the black vote. The man's never practiced law, never written anything, never a judge. And Obama, one, wouldn't take the pay cut to be a justice of the Supreme Court. Number two, he would never want to go to a Republican-controlled Judiciary Committee and be subject to the cross-examination that we get there. So it shows the ineptitude of Biden, that he's pandering to the black community to try and hold his lead. As it relates to the rest of them, I just don't see anybody. I mean, Zeb, we're both in media, and we both listen to these people talk. and we know that there are thousands and thousands of tape recorders going on and video recorders who are recording all these stupid things that these people are saying that will come back to them in a presidential campaign and bite them in the you know what. So they're so enamored of what they're saying, they're not taking into consideration the political reality of what needs to be done. And Beto O'Rourke saying, "Hey, if you vote for Donald Trump, you're a white racist," or the idea that if you don't agree to give health care free to illegals crossing the border, but don't provide health care for your own people, says that you're choosing illegals over American citizens. All these things are going to come back in spades to be used against the Democratic Party.
Absolutely. You know, Dan, I'm certainly glad that you and your family are safe and that the storm didn't wreak any havoc on your personal belongings, etc. And we wish you the best. Nationally recognized expert on foreign policy and energy, Dan Perkins, a good friend of this program. Thank you, sir. I'll be in touch.
Thank you, sir. It's always a pleasure to be with you.
All right, sir. I really, really enjoy having him on the program. He gives you a straight-shooter approach to what's going on, Dan Perkins, and also the writer of some great books, The Brotherhood of the Red Nile, a trilogy. It's absolutely excellent. Thank you very much. Oh, boy. Caller, I've got to get a weather on, and I'll be right with you. Please do not go away. I'll do it in a minute. Stand by. Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company, the professionals in accounting, providing accounting services to the Mini-Cash area for well over 50 years. The best, underline that word best, in tax return preparation, tax planning, business consulting, retirement planning, all of this and so much more, with offices in Burley and Rupert. I urge you, for you, your family, and your business, get a hold of them today. The real professionals, Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. And right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It feels like a touch of fall is in the air as we move through the second week of September. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 71. Winds out of the south-southwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies, at least for most of the evening. We are expecting a low of 46 as we move into the overnight hours. We do have a 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast. For tomorrow, 60% chance of rain showers likely. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit with a high of 66. That's going to continue for tomorrow night with a low of 45. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. Slight chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms with a high of 64. That could continue for Wednesday night, dipping down below 40 degrees. 39 is the expected low. And then for Thursday, sunny and 69. That's a look at your weather forecast for 7-3.
I appreciate it, Gina. Thank you very much. And the weather, again, brought to you by the people that can help you, and that's Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company. If you have questions about starting a business or a partnership or a corporation or wanting to expand your business, please get a hold of them today. Phillips Oakes Goodwin Crane and Company, with offices in Burley and Rupert. Caller, good morning, and thank you for your patience. You're on the air.
Yeah, I should have called before he got off the air. One of the things Obama did, remember the Obamacare website?
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of money that was spent, it was $1 billion something. And it was insane. And then it didn't work. And, of course, we know what happened to Obamacare. It didn't work. But they wanted to spend more. They spent more money on the Obamacare website than Trump wants to spend on the border wall. And you know as well as I do that people, cronies of Obama and his wife and whoever else got, I don't know how many people got rich building that website that never worked. I have a daughter that can build you a website, and it won't cost you much of anything, and it'll be right and it'll work. Of course, I understand that it's bigger, but still, it's just one of the things that we don't think about. The things that Obama did, were so disgustingly illegal and immoral and we still think he's some sort of a saint.
Well, let me interrupt you right there. Let me interrupt you, Randy, for just a quick second and interject a point on what you just said. I don't think, and tell me if you think I'm wrong, I don't think we, the American public, and I hope I live long enough to see this, but I think in the next 10 years, we are going to see exactly how evil, misguided, and sinister the Obama administration was. I don't think we have the tip of the iceberg yet.
Well, okay, you think about it. The fact that he was even elected, even he was surprised. He just threw his hat in, but it showed you whether or not it's the gullibility of the American people or the forgiving nature and the whatever. You could look at it both ways. America is like no place on earth, and they, because in a free election, Obama wouldn't get elected anywhere but here. And it was a combination of whether or not it was people being understanding and then the rest of them being gullible, whatever. But you see, they became so arrogant that they think that there's no way anybody's going to get reelected from the Republicans or elected. And the arrogancy was just beyond belief.
That's right.
And that's what the Russia probe, and you say to yourself, are we ever going to get to the bottom of this thing, or are they going to drag it out till the election? And that's the reason why if Trump gets reelected, then I do think, let's hope it happens before that, but, we will get to the bottom of this thing.
I certainly hope so. I've got to run to the news, Randy, but I appreciate your points as always. I enjoy listening to what you have to say. Thank you so much, my dear friend. Appreciate it. Don't forget Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Oh, my goodness sakes, all your life insurance, health insurance, retirement planning, employee benefits, they care. And they're dedicated and responsive to your needs. Please get a hold of them today, 436-4424. That number again, 436-4424. Cameron and Siemens Insurance, Highway 24 in Rupert. Right now, we're going to send it back over to Wheels. We'll be back in about 7 minutes. Don't go away. Welcome back. Here we go. Hour number 3 on a Monday, already September 9th. Zeb at the Ranch, brought to you by our major sponsor, your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations serving you with a big fall tire sale going on right now, along with some of our great advertisers like Burley Physical Therapy and Rehabilitation at 1263 Bennett Avenue, Suite 2 in Burley, helping you get back to being you. And, of course, don't forget Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. What a place. Beautiful place at 1221 21st Street in Hayburn. Seniors living the good life with friends. Right now, I'd like to remind you, too, about our friends with Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox, all teamed up to offer you the iComfort Wi-Fi thermostat from Lennox, featuring remote control access so you can adjust your home's temperature from anywhere, any place. Right now, check it out. Ramsey Heating and Electric and Lennox offering up to $1,600 in rebates on a brand new system. So make yourself comfortable. Call Ramsey Heating and Electric today at 678-0459 or go online, ramseysonline.com. And real quick, your electronic needs headquarters, you know where it is? Well, I'll tell you, Patterson's at 421 East Main in Burley. My goodness, they've got everything over there. They've got the monster cables 50% off, and they've got a closeout on all the power cords, and they've got all the home theater systems and the video surveillance cameras. They've got complete sound systems, all your TVs. Woo! The list goes on and on. Curtis and Lorena serving you at 421 East Main in Burley. Patterson's, the number to call, 678-6997. Right now, let's go to the phone line, and I'm really interested in having this lady be on our program this morning. She is an angel mom whose son was killed by an illegal alien, and she is also currently serving as a consultant and advisory board member for We Build the Wall Incorporated. We say good morning to Marianne Mendoza. Thank you for being on our program.
Good morning. I appreciate you having me. Thank you.
Well, first of all, from my house to yours, our condolences for the loss of your son. And if you would, Marianne, I don't want to try to bring up any bad thoughts, bad memories, but what exactly happened with your son that other people can relate to?
In the early morning hours of May 12, 2014, my son, who was a sergeant with the Mesa, Arizona Police Department, was on his way home. It was about 12:30 in the morning, and a repeat illegal alien criminal who was over 3 times the legal limit drunk, high on meth, and had driven over 35 miles the wrong way on 4 different freeways in Phoenix, slammed head-on into my son going over 100 miles an hour.
Oh.
And my son died a few hours later in surgery. The illegal alien died in the vehicle crash, but that day forever changed my life. And a lot of people say to me it could have been a drunk American driver, and they're absolutely right, but it wasn't. And that's what kind of catapulted me into this whole thing, realizing the amount of crime that illegals are committing in our country and the leniency that they're being shown in our court system.
Okay, now right there, Marianne, let me jump in. Why? Why are we allowing this? And over at the station, Wheels, you've got to engineer, there's a little bit of feedback on the line. Why are we, the American public, allowing this to happen? Your story, your tragic story, is not the only one. There are many, many, unfortunately, of that same nature. Why are we allowing this to happen? Why isn't somebody putting their foot down and saying enough is enough?
Well, and this is why angel families are starting to speak out, because unfortunately, there's more and more angel families on a more frequent basis being created, and it boggles my mind. In Arizona, up until a few years ago, Governor Doug Ducey just changed it. An illegal alien only had to serve 50% of their sentence, whereas an Arizona citizen had to serve 85% of their sentence. And so that was one of the biggest things that I was like, wait, what? What is happening? And that's happening in a lot of states across this country. People need to start looking into things. And, even with the DACA program, they say they can't be criminals in the DACA program. Well, they are. They're allowed to commit up to 2 misdemeanors and stay in the program. A lot of them have committed felonies, and they have them pled down the misdemeanors to keep them in the program. So we have felons in the DACA program who are being touted by the liberals as good people wanting a better life here. And there's been a lot of articles that have just recently come out. I think it was 44% of DACA participants were using false Social Security numbers. So the crime and what they do to American citizens far beyond death is outrageous. I mean, there's hundreds of thousands of Americans affected every year by illegal alien crime that does not include death. So I'm speaking out to bring awareness to this and to encourage my fellow Americans to research who you are voting for, to research the judges who are on the ballot in your communities. Don't just go down and hit yes, 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 yes. Research their records on the bench, how they handle illegal alien crime, and stand up for yourself. Don't allow your communities to become sanctuary communities.
Well,
it's not safer for your communities to have these people feel that ICE and Border Patrol, that ICE officials aren't going to come in and arrest them. We need our local communities to be cooperating with federal ICE officials and get illegal alien criminals out of our communities.
Marianne, go back a little bit, if you would, please, to what you just said about, again, Wheels over at the station. You've got to cut back on that feedback. Thank you. Go back to the sanctuary cities and or, in the case of California, wanting to be a complete sanctuary state. What in the world is compelling enough for their state legislatures or their city councils to be that stupid to provide a safe haven for people that have broken the law or may continue to break the law?
It's just a way for liberal policies to start taking over a community. And in a lot of cases, this is just an arbitrary decision that a city council or a mayor may make, and it doesn't go to the voters that there's going to be sanctuary policies. A mayor and a city council give the directive to the police departments of how they are to interact with the public and how to handle things, policies and whatnot. So this kind of stuff can be going on in the dark of the night. We're dealing with it here in Mesa, Arizona. Although this new chief who, 85% no confidence vote happened among the officers, he will not resign and the city council won't get rid of him. I am now finding out through the ranks that he is going to be trying to implement sanctuary policies. And look, I'm going to fight this tooth and nail, and everybody listening, if you're living in a sanctuary community, you need to rally the troops and you need to stop this insanity from happening. Because what country can you and I break into illegally, have politicians encourage us to do it, have them fight to change laws to protect us, commit a crime against one of their citizens, and then have a sanctuary for you to go to where the far-reaching, federal or top law enforcement in that country can't come get you for the crime that you've committed? This is insanity. Absolutely.
Now, Marianne, let me talk a little bit about the organization that you're a consultant and on the advisory board. We Build the Wall Incorporated. Give us a little background on this, and up to today, how successful do you think your group is, and are you happy so far with what's being done on the border wall effort?
Brian Kovac and Amanda Shea partnered up in December of last year and just thought, you know what, we're tired of the government not building the wall. We're tired of Congress not approving this. Let's do a GoFundMe and let's build a wall. It went crazy, and they raised over $25 million. And at the beginning of, latter part of the spring, we worked together and with Fisher Industries out of Coolidge, Arizona, started building almost a mile of wall in Sunland Park, New Mexico. An incredible wall, 80-year grade steel for the Ballards. A lot of the contracts that are awarded through CBP are only 20-year grade steel that's used for the Ballard fencing, so it's top quality material. A paved road for Border Patrol, lighting, and sensors that can detect digging, walking, and driving within 60 foot of the wall. So it's an incredible piece of border security that we've put together and handed over to Border Patrol and stopped the drug trafficking and human trafficking in this terrible area there in Sunland Park. 100% we've stopped it. So we are moving forward with the second project, and we kind of zero in on these 2-mile long pieces that are gaps in the existing government wall now is what we're zeroing in on, and dealing with private landowners so that we're able to, go in and put the fence up on their land. I'm so excited. I was blown away by the product that we did, blown away that my fellow Americans contributed this money and allowed us to be the stewards and get this project done and show our politicians in D.C. This is how you do it. This is how you get it done quickly. This is how you find a company like Fisher Industries who can do a mile a day on flat land. Mind you, we did it in 10 days. But we were dealing with a 30% grade up the side of a mountain in the piece that we did there in Sunland Park. So people need to check us out, webuildthewall.us, see the incredible video of the piece that we've done. Know that we are working very diligently getting the second and third project lined out. Unfortunately, we can't be very vocal about it ahead of time because the ACLU and every pro-illegal group will stop a lawsuit on the landowner or us to try and prevent us from getting this done. So we have to keep things pretty quiet.
Marianne, I just absolutely applaud you, and I mean that. We've never met, but I want to say thank you for all that you're doing. But I have to ask you your thoughts about the Democratic Party en masse and their supposed nominees for the presidency, whether it's Elizabeth Warren or wild-haired Bernie or Joe Biden or Cory Booker, whomever. I mean, they are all basically an open border, no border type person. What are your thoughts, and what would you tell them if you had a chance to speak in front of them?
Well, the thing is, deep down in their guts, they know that is not right. We've got sound bites of a lot of these politicians in the past who have said illegal immigration has to stop. We need border security. But they've realized how far to the left kookiness the Democratic Party has gone. They've actually got to cater to these illegals. And, they're saying it's like 22 million of them that are in the country. I think it's more like 30 million. And, I just want your listeners to know I'm a little different than some angel families. I know that there's millions of illegal aliens who are living here, who have been here 20, 30 years, who are living a good life, who haven't ever caused a problem. And I think that there needs to be an easier path to citizenship for them. I think there needs to be special offices open. They come in here, do the complete vetting, do the background check of these people, and help them get in the process of becoming citizens. What I don't agree with is the almost million illegal alien criminals that are slated for deportation who are still wandering our streets. And the people who are coming across our border, not at a port of entry, but are just crossing the Rio Grande and our open porous borders in Arizona and saying, I want to claim asylum. We know 94% of them won't qualify, and yet they're in the interior of our country for 2 or 3 years till their trial is held for their asylum, their hearing, and they don't show up at it anyway. And so now they've become a burden on the United States. I say any of those people that are caught along the border, they're sent back. You're not allowed in. And guess what? Because you've done that, now you will never be considered for citizenship. It will put the fear in those people that if this is where they really want to come and if this is the life that they want, that they will do things the right way from the get-go.
Marianne, you've seen and lived the benefits of what a wall can do and should do as far as cutting down on the illegal alien traffic coming into this country. What would you say to people that are a little iffy on this and say, oh, well, everyone, like some of the Democrats are touting this morning, everyone has a right to come to America? What would you say to that?
They don't have a right to come to America. They have an opportunity to come to America. And if you want to go to any country, you do things the right way and you follow their laws. Why is it that this is the only country in the world that we have politicians who think nobody has to follow our immigration laws? And I'm going to refer back to the last administration. Unfortunately, the total lack of respect and disrespect for law enforcement, is really blamed on the Obama administration. And I think that's where the turning point was in our country, where there's no regard for the law and people just don't think that they have to follow it. And everybody's out there, filming everything and filing lawsuits. This is what we've become.
Mm-hmm.
Our president had, I think it was 64 lawsuits filed on him in the first few days of him being in there. Even if he mentions something that he may be working on, the ACLU is already getting all the paperwork together to file a lawsuit. They have the paperwork ready. The minute he announces anything, they're straight to the courts filing the lawsuits. And these are people like George Soros who are backing these efforts to stop and cripple the current administration. Because guess what? Donald Trump is walking the walk. He's not just talking the talk. He's walking the walk, and he's trying to do the things that he promised to do when he was running for president.
Absolutely. Marianne, let's look ahead and kind of look into the crystal ball, if you will. And I'm sure you've probably thought about this, but looking ahead to 2020, regardless of who the Democrats throw out as their nominee, what do you think is going to happen when, and I'll use an optimistic attitude here, when President Trump gains re-election? What kind of turmoil or what kind of status do you think we'll have on the border at that juncture?
Well, I'm hoping between now and then that, it's ramped up with the administration to get these pieces put together, and hopefully We Build a Wall will have a couple more projects done at the time. But listen, when they were certain that Hillary was going to win, this one world government, open borders, big money, organizational, worldwide thing that they've got going on, they really thought they had it in the bag. And this is why the fighting and the disgusting behavior and attitudes are coming out, because this is how much harder they're fighting for 2020. When they lose again in 2020, because the American people are very smart and love this country, and we're not going to allow it to turn into a third world country and a socialist regime, I think it's going to get even worse for a while. I think these people with these ideals, they have patience and they have determination, and they'll fight it as long as they can. And I'm telling you what, the people that I meet and I talk to, red-blooded Americans who love their country and respect and love their president, we're not going to let them take over. We're not going to let them turn our country into something that's unrecognizable, which is where it's headed now. And we've got to stop it in its tracks.
Marianne, I hope you'll consent to coming back in the future. You are very articulate about this issue, and I praise you for all your work on the advisory board as a member of We Build the Wall Incorporated. Marianne Mendoza, God bless you, and please come back.
Thank you very much for having me, and I'd be delighted to come back.
Thank you very much. A wonderful lady right there that knows firsthand the evils of what's going on with the left on illegal immigration and illegal aliens being in our country, Marianne Mendoza. I saw her, I believe it was on the news about 4 or 5 days ago, and I said I have got to get her on the program. Very, very nice and articulate lady, and I appreciate her. Marianne Mendoza, thank you for being on the program. Let's see. Coming up this weekend, I've got to tell you this real quick. Coming up this weekend, don't forget, it's the 4th annual Patriotic Show and Shine that's free to the public and standing for the red, white, and blue on the Rupert Square in Rupert. Patriots Day, Friday, September 13th, and then don't forget a huge car show with bikes and boats and cars and foods and vendors and entertainment on Saturday the 14th from 9 until 4. Holy moly, be proud to be an American and show it. Be at the 4th annual Patriotic Show and Shine coming up this weekend in Rupert, Friday and Saturday. Don't you miss it. Let me see, what else have I got cooking here? We'll take a quick call, and then I've got one more commercial. Caller, I've got about a minute and a half. Go ahead, please.
Well, if you go out on a Sunday and you look and see who's out shopping, and I have tons of Hispanic friends and tons of Hispanic business people I do business with, and I love my hardworking brothers, whatever color they are. But I know this, that I hear Spanish spoken everywhere, and I hope they know English and want to know English. See, it takes a lot of guts to make this call, because you could be accused of being prejudiced.
Oh, absolutely.
And I'm not, because I just don't know how you solve this problem. But being skewed by prejudice will not solve it.
Well, I can give you a solving of the problem right now, and you know the answer to it as well as anybody does. We need to adhere to our laws, we need to adhere to our Constitution, and we need to be strict and very forthright about the application of those laws, regardless of who they are or what they are. I think that's the answer.
Of course, everybody needs to follow the law, and there needs to be no doubt about it, but the judicial system is so full of whatever you want to call them, communists, socialists, whatever they are, do-gooders that think they're good, that you see, it's such a splintered judicial system that justice is not even across the board for every American citizen.
That's right.
Non-American citizens get catered to, and I get my butt kicked. And so it's a shame. But you see, they're here. and I don't know how to get rid of him. I just keep saying it. Let's hope they learn to love America and understand what free market capitalism brings them, and they learn to understand what republicanism and Democrats do and know better. But you see, they got to know better.
I could not have said it better, Randy. I appreciate it. And thank you for calling back. Thank you so much. All right, sir. Hey, real quick, I want to remind you about Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. Deanna and I went over there during their open house, and they've done a lot of advertising with us, and we thought, wow, we've got to take a look at the facilities. I was just absolutely amazed how beautiful the rooms are, how beautiful the entire complex is. It's Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living, and it's located on 21st Street, just a mile east of Walmart. 3 meals a day, plus snacks, plus housekeeping, local transportation. Oh my goodness, it's a community within a community. Absolutely. And you're passing the days with new friends and old friends. You better check it out today. Ask for an appointment to see the facilities at Greystone Crossing. Call Kelly or Matt at 650-4979. I'll repeat that number, 650-4979. Greystone Crossing Independent Senior Living. You check it out today. Right now, we're going to take a little break and send it back over to our main studios. I'll be back with my next guest momentarily. Don't go away.
And now, back to Zeb at the Ranch on AM 1230 KBAR. To reach Zeb, call 436-2244 or toll free 1-866-927-4587. And now, here is Zeb Bell.
You know, I think that right now, at this particular time in America, we have a lot of evil. I'm going to call it the way I see it. Evil out in our society that wants to change things and promote things that are absolutely against our Constitution and our values as American citizens. One of which is there's a direct attack going on our free speech and, of course, the Second Amendment with gun control, etc. But I am really concerned about a story that I heard about the University of Texas at Austin, Texas, with students that are being suppressed in what they can say and what they can say and where they can say it. And I'm so glad to have on the air with me Pacific Legal Foundation attorney Tim Snowball. Tim, good morning. How are you?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I appreciate it.
You know, I got to tell you something, Tim. I try to get along as much as I can with people on a daily basis, but when somebody comes up to me and says they want to limit my speech on what I can say about various topics or in regards to various people in the news, you're talking about somebody that's coming out of the corner swinging, because I'm not going to have somebody stymie my free speech. What's going on at the University of Texas?
Hey, Zeb, thanks so much for having me. I feel the same way. When I went to college, I used to go out of my way to stir up debate and have interesting discussions in class. That was one of my favorite parts of being a student. So as you say, this is even more of a disturbing trend. So just as a little bit of a recap, as your listeners no doubt know, the First Amendment protects our right to free speech. This was an important point for the founders. They thought, well, if you're going to have a citizenry that's capable of self-rule and, the rule of law, you got to let them discuss and talk about public policies and figure out in our democracy the best way of going about fixing problems. So the First Amendment applies to public universities because public universities are subsidized by tax dollars from the public coffers. So if you look at free speech on college campuses in the last 10 or 15 years, there's a disturbing trend, not just at UT Austin, which I'm going to talk about, but across the country, where you see administrators stepping in and pretty much trying to shield students from upsetting speech or so-called harassing speech, or just protect them from ideas that they think might disturb them or upset them. Of course, as we mentioned, this flies in the face of an education in the first place, but there it is. So you've got a situation down at the University of Texas at Austin where they've enacted two policies that fly in the face of the First Amendment. The first is a series of speech codes where they've come in different manuals and said, okay, students are prohibited from saying any harassing or offensive speech, whether in class or on campus or in their school emails or using a school computer. The problem, of course, is what is harassing? What is offensive? What do these categories of prohibited speech mean? Nobody can figure it out, and rather than risk sanction by the university or something winding up on their permanent record, students are remaining silent. In the parlance of the First Amendment, their speech is chilled. Then UT Austin has a second policy where they have what's called they call a climate campus response team, which is basically a group of speech police that are actually partly made up of actual police officers, that when there's a so-called bias incident reported to the university, they go out and they investigate it. So you can be in your dorm room, have a knock on the door, you get up to answer it, and there's a campus climate response team there to investigate something allegedly offensive you may have said in campus. And so this is an additional layer by which, even protected speech couldn't get, swept up within this regime.
I'm just sitting here, and I got to tell you something, Mr. Snowball. I'm madder now than I was when I introduced you. Let me just say a couple of things and interject this, and then we'll talk more. Do you mean to tell me a Gestapo unit, which it is a Gestapo, is roaming around college campuses, i.e. the University of Texas at Austin, and they are waiting for a complaint or trying to hear a complaint so that they can literally legislate against the student that supposedly made the remark, and then what? What happens then?
And that's exactly right. Let me give you a hypothetical, and then I'll explain to you what these students in this lawsuit, because there's been a lawsuit filed by 3 anonymous students at UT Austin, represented by an organization called Speech First. And Speech First is a fantastic organization that advocates on behalf of student speech rights and pushes against some of this nonsense. But let's say you've got a couple of outspoken students. Zeb Bell and Tim Snowball are sitting in class. And, we start talking about maybe Justice Kavanaugh's confirmation hearing. And we're talking about it, going back and forth, and having a robust discussion that both of us walk away feeling pretty satisfied with. Little did we know that one of our classmates in the row behind us, we're not even talking to them, overhears our conversation and goes, that's that Bell. God, I really didn't like some of the stuff he was saying. That sounded really offensive to me. That student can then anonymously go online, the school has provided this, anonymously report you, and then the speech police will come seek you out and ask you about this. And so here's the thing. Not only are you possibly sanctioned, you could be sanctioned by the university, but given modern university campus culture, as I mentioned, I was an undergrad at UC Berkeley. When I went there, we still considered it the home of the free speech movement. Now the students, when a controversial speaker comes to campus, they're toppling light poles, they're lighting fires, they have to call in the riot police and all this. And so there's been a cultural shift on campus amongst the students that is only exacerbated by official campus policies like this. To my mind, one of the roles of the university was always to instill certain citizenship values in the students, like respect for the First Amendment, like respect for free speech. And what you do here is you really weaponize the ability of students to kind of interject their subjective values onto their classmates and anonymously report them. I think it's bad for individual students, but it's even worse for campus culture. Now, let me tell you what the students in this lawsuit, the topics that they want to discuss that allegedly are too controversial for them to speak about. And I hope you're sitting down, Zeb, because this is some really racy stuff. They want to talk about President Trump. They'd like to discuss Justice Kavanaugh and his hearings. They'd like to discuss racial relations and affirmative action policies in the United States. And so these are very racy topics, I think, that, of course, the administrators should be very concerned about them discussing in class.
I'm almost speechless, and for a guy that's done this for a living for almost 50 years, that's amazing. Let me start with this, Tim. And you're the lawyer. I took law courses for a year, and then the university and myself both made an agreement that I'd better find another occupation. But hearsay out of context is not admissible in court, is it?
Right, correct.
Well, then how can these students start a prosecution against someone with the intent of trying to get them thrown out of class and or the school just based on hearsay? I mean, this is so ludicrous, I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, it's absolutely fascinating. I mean, I think that's part of the problem is what due process rights do students have? This comes up a lot in different contexts for campus. Recent sexual assault cases where they've come in and somebody winds up getting an accusation against them and there's no hearing in place, there's no defense, there's no evidence offered, they're just thrown out of school based upon sometimes nothing more than just an accusation that someone makes against somebody. So I think it's an absolutely a fair point. And not only that, as part of my research, the Pacific Legal Foundation, my organization, we caught wind of this case, and it's on appeal right now at the U.S. Court of Appeals for the Fifth Circuit. It's one run down from the Supreme Court. We caught wind of this case filed by Speech First, and I wanted to come in and, of course, back up these students and their speech rights. So we filed our own brief in the case, and one of the things we talk about in the brief is the fact that there are campuses out there that have found a way to successfully walk this line. So don't get me wrong, though. I mean, I don't think that any student should feel intimidated or focused against in class. It's not as if in this case racial epithets or something are being wielded against students in class. Of course, behavior like that is unacceptable, and students should have some kind of repercussion for that, or at least have a good talking to about just basic decorum and respecting your fellow students. But that's not what we're talking about here. And so there have been campuses that have been able to successfully walk this line. They said, look, students should feel safe and respected in class, but on the other hand, part of our mission as a public institution is to teach students about the First Amendment and the fact that in the marketplace of ideas, the best way to combat bad ideas is with better ideas, and to have that discussion. And so it almost makes the choice of UT Austin in this case to embrace these campus speech codes and speech police almost worse, because they're almost embracing, some of these mistaken ideas of these students. In the brief, we talk about this idea of hate speech. Now, some students would say, hate speech should not be protected by the First Amendment. Well, here's the fact of the matter, Zeb, is that there's no such thing as hate speech recognized in the law. There's no category of speech that is prohibited under the First Amendment. Now, it may be ugly, it may be upsetting. People may say upsetting things in a free society. But I think it just goes to show that, students have mistaken ideas of even how the First Amendment works. And so I think that's even more reason for campus administrators not to buy into some of these mistaken ideas.
Tim, let me ask you this, and I'm sitting here, and some of these things I ask you will seem to you probably rather naive, but if you and I are having a conversation, a private conversation, and again, Wheels, the feedback down the line in my headset, I can't hear, thank you. If we're having a private conversation, and let's say that we're talking about the Second Amendment and gun control, I'm a gun advocate, I always will be for private ownership, etc., and someone that doesn't like what I'm saying in our private conversation turns me into basically the speech police. Why is there not a discernible difference between private conversations and a speech on campus, like a public speaker coming to visit and being paid? I mean, why isn't there the discernment as to what's private instead of what's public?
I mean, Zeb, you tell me. I mean, the campus is perfectly able to draw out that distinction if they'd like to. The fact of the matter is what they've done is that these policies are vague and overbroad. And what they've basically done is they've basically empowered students who culturally speaking, they're looking for reasons to be offended. They're on the hunt. They take their responsibility to turn in so-called offensive students seriously. Now, I'll up the stakes here. I talked to you about this category of hate speech that students mistakenly think exists under the First Amendment, which doesn't. Have you heard of microaggressions? Microaggressions now that are embraced by many students on modern campuses are the idea that when someone says something offensive, even if it's unintentional and seemingly benign, that can cause actual physical violence against someone's psychology, their psychological well-being. So some examples of this, Zeb, are, where are you from? If someone asks someone, where are you from, that's seen as possibly a microaggression of violence, because what if someone's from another country?
Oh, my.
That's pointing out that maybe you think that they're from somewhere else, and that's a microaggression.
Oh,
Or if
my.
you say something along the lines of, I think the most qualified person should get the job. That could be a microaggression, because you could be discriminating against somebody who maybe has some kind of disability. And the list goes on and on and on. So it's not only the idea of saying something overtly that could be offensive, right? Someone could go out of their way and try to say, poke at somebody and try to say something offensive. That's one thing. It's become so insidious now that they're trying to police almost people's thoughts when they're making unintentionally offensive statements. How could I possibly know what you are going to find offensive or unoffensive, not only when I'm speaking to you, but as you mentioned, what if I'm having a conversation with another classmate and you happen to overhear it? How could I possibly read the mind of a student who's sitting 3 or 4 rows away from me? I mean, this is the stuff of a dystopian George Orwell novel.
Absolutely. We have a caller with a comment. Caller, quickly, you're on the air. Go ahead, please.
Well, let me tell you something. You know, I call in routinely on a station up in Boise, Idaho. The valley up there has probably got, well over 500,000 people. And it's a conservative program. And all day long they listen to Limbaugh, Hannity, Shapiro. And these hosts are so politically, afraid, politically correct, afraid, that they don't even have guts enough to do anything but just stand on the fence. And you say to yourself, if we don't have the guts to stand up for what is right and true, people just end up buckling. They just tolerate till it's not what it used to be. And it's just like with these students, they got nothing to do. And all they can do is run around and think about how self-absorbed and offended they are. And they need to get a job. They need to understand America. They need to understand I watched Saving Private Ryan yesterday, and you say to yourself, my God, what these people did for us to have freedom is unbelievable. I'll hang up.
Tim, let me ask you in regards to what he was mentioning. Why, and I certainly hope it doesn't come to that point, because they'll pull the plug on me, because I'm not going to ever back up on free speech and my opinions, but why on a private sector basis do they seem to be going after private speech with private students, etc., instead of really going after people like myself and the media at first, or are they saving that the best for last?
Well, it's interesting that you mentioned that distinction. I definitely want to address the caller's point, because I think he made a great point. But private universities, private institutions, they can do whatever they want. They're not subsidized on public tax dollars. So if you decide that you are a student who opts in to go to like a Harvard or a Stanford or a private universities can institute whatever kind of rules they want. They're not subject to the First Amendment because they're not government institutions. They're not receiving any tax dollars. The distinction then was with public universities like a UC Berkeley or a UT Austin. They're subsidized on tax dollars, and because they're getting public funds, those are public institutions, they're subject to the First Amendment. I think that the caller made a fantastic point in regards to World War II. I mean, a lot of those boys, especially when you talk about Saving Private Ryan, who passed away on Normandy Beach, basically liberating the free world from a threat of tyranny. They were 17 years old, 18 years old, in their early 20s, the same age as many of the students who are subject to these speech codes or openly advocating against free speech. And I think it just goes to show, how decadent kind of American society has become. We're no longer fighting wars, like Normandy Beach. Now we've become so kind of complacent and wealthy, and thank God for that. But the students have time to sit around and think up ways to be offended. Nobody was instituting any speech codes on Normandy Beach or there when they were liberating a continent. And so I think that he makes a fantastic point in terms of priorities. What I will say that's an interesting point that we make in the brief is, I quote Edward R. Murrow, who is kind of considered to be this lion of the left, in the brief, because I make this point. There's this great quote from Murrow. If anyone has seen the film Good Night and Good Luck, or knows about when he went head-to-head with Senator McCarthy during the McCarthy era on his program on CBS, he has this great quote where he says, we are not descended from fearful men, not from men who fear to write, to speak, and to associate with ideas that were for the moment unpopular. And I make this point in the brief because I say, the entire purpose of the First Amendment is we should not be picking and choosing which ideas are worth protecting and which ideas should be banned. That's for the people to decide after hearing open and honest debate. And if we're stepping in and we're using fear tactics and coercion to keep people silent, especially students, some of the most important social movements in the history of the United States, a lot of them originated, or at least were supported or bolstered, by university students. We want university students to be passionate and involved. It's the future leaders of the country, and if we're not developing critical thinking skills and interest in our institutions at the university level, then I fear for the future of the republic.
Tim, I've only got 2 minutes left in this segment. I want to have you answer this question because I think this is the end-all question right here. How advanced, in your opinion, in other areas and other universities and colleges is this problem? How exacerbated is it now to the point where we really need to be concerned?
Well, I'll give you an example here. So I believe that this university, this incident was here, I think in the Central Valley of California. I can look it up for you, but it was Constitution Day. So that's September 17th. That's actually coming up. Mark that on your calendar if you don't already have it. It's the day we celebrate the U.S. Constitution. It was Constitution Day, I think, a year ago or so, and a group of conservative students there on campus said, hey, you know what we'll do for Constitution Day? We're going to get a bunch of pocket constitutions, and we'll go out in the quad, and we'll pass them out to students on Constitution Day. So they went out there to pass out these constitutions, and they had a campus administrator and police officer approach them and say, do you guys have a permit out here to be doing this or permission to be passing these out? And they said, no. They said, okay, well, if you don't have that, you have to go to the free speech zone. And they said, free speech zone? They said, yeah, you're only allowed to have approved speech in the free speech zone on campus. They said, well, where's that? And it was this little area back away from the quad where anybody would walk, this little area they had marked off as a free speech zone. And so they made the students go stand in this free speech zone to pass their constitution. And of course, nobody walked in that area, and it kind of mooted the entire incident. So that's where we're at, Zeb, where on a public campus, students are not allowed to pass out copies of the U.S. Constitution on Constitution Day and must instead go stand in an area supposedly marked off for free speech away from where anybody can even hear what they're doing. That's the state of things, and that's the story that I think really sums up where it is going and why this is such an important issue.
Tim, I've got to ask you, I'm going to do some more research on this, and I'm going to have you back in the not-too-distant future. Tim Snowball, the attorney with the Pacific Legal Foundation, quickly tell everybody how they can follow this story and more with PLF.
Yeah, jump on the PLF website, pacificlegal.org. You can go on my page. My name's Tim Snowball. We have a blog up with a link to the brief that we wrote. You can also follow us on all the major platforms, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and everything else.
Tim, thank you. God bless you, man, and I'll be in touch. I appreciate your time this morning. Thank you.
Thanks, Deb.
All right, sir. Wow. Free speech? Almost gone. Hey, we've quickly got to tell you about the weather forecast brought to you by Scarrows Meats, 331 North Road, Jerome. Don Scarrow and the rest of the crew, delicious meats. I mean, oh my goodness, you've got a family gathering, whatever the case, whatever the occasion, all the marinated pork ribs and the tri-tips and all the different bacons and the breakfast sausages and the bratwurst, and the list goes on. Delicious meats from Scarrows Meats in Jerome. Go to their website, scarrowsmeats.com. Right now, here's Gina with the weather.
It feels like a touch of fall is in the air as we move through the second week of September. Here's a look at your weather forecast for today. Mostly sunny skies. We are expecting a high of 71. Winds out of the south-southwest at about 7 miles an hour. For tonight, partly cloudy skies, at least for most of the evening. We are expecting a low of 46 as we move into the overnight hours. We do have a 20% chance of rain showers in the forecast. For tomorrow, 60% chance of rain showers likely. Winds are going to be picking up just a little bit with a high of 66. That's going to continue for tomorrow night with a low of 45. By Wednesday, mostly sunny skies. Slight chance of afternoon rain showers and thunderstorms with a high of 64. That could continue for Wednesday night. Dipping down below 40 degrees, 39 is the expected low. And then for Thursday, sunny and 69. That's a look at your weather forecast for Zeb at the Ranch.
Gina, thank you very much, and brought to everybody by Scarrows Meats. 331 North Road, Jerome. The telephone number to call, 324-7657. They are changing the way we eat, one delicious bite at a time. Also, real quick, I want to remind you about our dear friends at your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. All 7 locations, and they're having a big fall tire sale going on right now. I'm telling you. You better stop in and work with the best. They know tires. They know the type of tires and tread design and size that you'll need for your vehicles. And they've got many at prices that you just can't afford to pass up. Like right now, you can save up to $152 on a set of 4 select light truck tires and SUV tires like the Backcountry Touring HT or the Backcountry MT. Check it out today. The best of tires at the best of prices for you to save money. Get in there at any one of the 7 locations and check out all the brake service, the front end alignments, the shocks and the struts, the batteries, all of this. Hunting season, fall driving, I'm telling you, stop in and see your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Lane and Rupert, Dave on Blue Lakes and Twin, Mike and Buell, Mike in Jerome, the Twist family in Paul, Daniel on Poline in Twin Falls, and Trent on Overland in Burley. The best. It's true. Your Magic Valley Les Schwab Tire Centers. Got to run. Program's over for today. Thank you for all your kind calls and comments. We always say at the end of the program, the way things were or the way things ought to be. And, of course, in God we trust. See you tomorrow morning at 8:06.